Today we are going to see how HTTP works. HTTP is the backbone of the web. It deals with the information exchange between the client and the server, and the information flow between the client and the server includes routers, switches, and the other hardware. And this could mean a hacker can connect to your network and access your sensitive information and modify it. This is called a middle man in the middle attack. One of the best ways to protect your data is to encrypt it, meaning only parties with the encryption key can decrypt the data. This led to the extension of HTTP into HTTPS. The encryption layer is called TLS, Transport Layer Security. Formerly, it was called SSL, Secure Sockets Layer. In this tutorial, we will discuss how the entire process of encrypted information exchange works. On a high level, the process includes four sub-processes. The first one would be TCP three-way handshake. The second would be a certificate check. And third one would be the session key exchange. And the fourth one would be the data transmission, encrypted data transmission. So the step 1 to 3 deal with establishing a connection between the client and the server and exchanging the encrypted session keys. The step 4 is where the actual encrypted data transmission happens. So let's look at each of the steps in detail. Step 1, TCP three-way handshake. The TCP three-way handshake involves the client sending a sequence number to the server. The server acknowledges it and establishes a connection. This ends with the server sending a sequence number and an acknowledgement message back to the client. And then the client acknowledges the server's message. And as I said, right, this step involved three processes, and that's one of the reasons why it's called a three-way handshake. And the TCP maintains a 32-bit sequence number to keep track of the amount of data sent, and this sequence number is included in every packet, and it will be acknowledged by the receiver, and the acknowledgement will be sent back to the sender. So this brings the step 1 to the end. So we will look at step 2 now. The step 2 is a certificate check. A server can obtain a public key and a private key in the form of a SSL certificate from number of certificate providers. So these certificate providers are generally companies. For example, IdenTrust, Digidate, they sell the certificates which the owner of the server would purchase and purchase and use, right? So now the beginning of the process, the client sends a hello to the server, and the server sends a hello back to the client. And after the server's hello, the server sends its public key, and this public key is received by the client, and this will be used for an encryption purpose, which we will see in the next slides. Okay, so the session key exchange. So what happens now? In the previous step, we saw the public key is obtained from the server by the client. So now the browser creates a session key and encrypts the session key using the public key and sends the encrypted session key to the server. And after sending so, the client also sends a change cipherspec message. It's a message that tells the server, I have transmitted my session key. Now I can start, doing the communication in an encrypted manner. And after this message, the client sends a finished message indicating that the handshake process from my side is complete. So now the server, which has access to the encrypted session key, decrypts it using its private key. So this process of encrypting and decrypting using a public key and a private key is called asymmetric. I can't spell it properly. It's called asymmetric decryption and encryption. And so now the private key decrypts the encrypted session key, and now the server has access to the session key. And now the server tells the client, okay, I have also got what I want, and I can also start doing the encrypted communication. And it does send a finish message ending the handshake process. So this step to one is the handshake process. Now we'll see how the data exchange actually happens. So step 4, encrypted data transmission. So the session key is used to encrypt the data in the client side, and the encrypted data reaches the server, and the server uses the same session key to decrypt the data to obtain the original data, right? So this way of using the same key, same session key to encrypt and decrypt data is called symmetric encryption. So in this way, a server and the server and the client were able to transmit information between themselves in an encrypted manner. So just a summary of the entire process. It's a four-step process. Step 1 to 3 involve handshake process, which ends with sharing of the session key between the client and the server, and the step 4 is actually the data transmission. Yeah. So this is how HTTPS works. So I hope this tutorial is really useful to you. Thanks again. Bye.